So, Foxy, let's jump right into it and talk about some of the reports. I mentioned it as the open, Quick, Obi, they're being touted as players that the Knicks don't want to move on from. So, what have you been seeing from these kids that would give you the confidence that the Knicks are making the right move and saying that these guys are part of our core moving forward, and it's actually the vets that have to get shipped out of here?
Well, yesterday was the last game was an anomaly, but every game of the last X amount of weeks, you look the second team, they were all on the positive on plus minus, and it was a starting team, and the energy and just everything they're bringing, and so I can understand them feeling that way about Quickly and feeling that way about Obi. That uh, we get into a hole from the starters, and those guys come in and either they eat away at the or get the lead. And yeah, so I can't say enough positive things. And also, again, just taking a step back and looking a year ago, their development Quickly on defense, Quickly, playmaking, and also, like I said, stats. The team is a better team with Quickly on the floor. And Obi, the same thing. You look back a year ago, he's grown leaps and bounds. And yep, there's areas we want him to grow in, but it's a nice trajectory for him getting better. I just wish he got more minutes.
That's a fact. Paul Butler says IQ isn't shooting the ball well, but Foxy, like you just mentioned, the team is still playing better with him out there on the court with either RJ or Julius Randle. So I think even though his shot has not been falling, it's been inconsistent throughout the season. I think you're seeing some abilities from him as a playmaker that are benefiting the team out there and helping us. I won't say win games because we're really not putting wins together, but at least helping us be more competitive out there on the court. This team is leaps and bounds more competitive. We're quick out there, even whether he's running the point or playing off ball. I think this team needs to find ways to get quick, more involved, and get other players out there on the court with him as well. It seems like he's a microwave, whether coming off the bench. Hopefully he'll be inserted into the starting lineup just so we can see what he'll be able to do. But I think he'll be a upgrade over Kimba, even though there are still some talks that, some debates going around Knicks fans, whether or not Quick is a point guard, is he, isn't he? But we're getting results. So whether, regardless of what side of the fence you fall on, if he's helping us win or if he's helping us be competitive and close some of these leads we've given up with the starters, then I think Quick should continue to be viewed as someone part of this core moving forward. And I'm happy that the Knicks have made that I won't say they made the announcement, but I'm happy that word's out there, word is spreading that the Knicks are very fond of both Quick and Obi.
Yeah. And to Quick's defense, this is only his second year. It takes a while to get adjusted. And when you're playing with D Rose like he did, and all of a sudden with a snap of the finger, D Rose is not there, and now he has to take on more responsibilities, you're asking a lot for a young guy. So even under that duress, at times he's just showing that he's a quality player. Great pick a year ago.
And also, I kind of made the mistake. I mentioned Obi and I mentioned Quick, but I should have threw Grimes in there as well because the Knicks said did not want to include Grimes in a potential deal for Cam. So I think the Knicks were smart in being able to acquire Cam without having to give up Grimes in the deal, and it's paying dividends already. You've seen in the game since that trade was made. Grimes has been a pest out there defensively. There's games where his shot has been falling, and I think he is definitely a piece that Tibbs has already said he loves. And once Tibbs is speaking about you in that manner, he's going to be entrenched in the rotation moving forward. So the fact that we were able to make a move and not have to give up Grimes in the deal, I think that's a major plus.
Easy to love Grimes. And like you said, we all know he's an elite 3-point shooter, and we know he's great on D. But every game you watch him, you're like saying, oh my God, did you see that pocket pass with Obi? Did you see he had 4 offensive rebounds the other game? Every game you're seeing a little, and also some stats that don't show up. He rips the ball, so it's not technically a steal because the ball went out of bounds, but he's so disruptive, and I just love his style. He hit a nice little runner into the paint the other day, a little fallback. So yeah, I can't wait for us to watch his development. But yeah, this is a sound young core for us as a nucleus, and they're smart, the Knicks, for saying that. And also, it's good business because if somebody really wants them, that means the price tag's up there. They're going to have to pay if they
Yep.
want them. So it's a win-win for us. But like I said, I love their energy. You'll never hear a coach in the the post-game conference saying, we lacked a little effort with these guys.
Yeah, and I have the stats up of the young players and how they've been performing since the season started. I've broken it down into October, November, December, and January, and you can really see with Grimes as he's starting to get more and more minutes, he's starting to get acclimated to the NBA. You can see in January he's been averaging 21.1 minutes per game, and he's been averaging his highest points per game total. Same thing with his rebounds per game, and he's shooting 43.3% from three in the month of January. So he's finally gained Tibbs' trust, and he's rewarded Tibbs with solid play. So that's something that's as a Knicks fan, that's encouraging, especially seeing that Grimes isn't one of these high picks. He was picked 25th, and the Knicks are showing that in the draft they've been able to make good moves. Free agency we can discuss a little bit later, but with the draft, I'm liking what they're doing, and you can see that with more and more minutes, these guys are getting a little bit more comfortable in their roles. And I just hope Tibbs, I hope it's not just talk. I hope we actually see these guys get more and more minutes and are actually given the opportunity to contribute to winning basketball, which I don't think they're able to do when they're not relegated to the bench, but they're not being put out there on the court when they would make more sense than our starters.
Yeah, we have to be patient. You saw a couple of turnovers by Grimes, but those are good turnovers. As weird as it sounds, because if he does it over and over, that's bad. But you learn. You learn. Wow, I can't do that cross court pass like that. I can't leave my feet like that. It puts me in nowhere to land. So yeah. So all of them, they're really. I like their IQs.
No pun intended. Speaking of IQ, his stats, as you can see, the shooting has been inconsistent. October, it was down to 22.7% from three, and November shot up to 40%, and then it dropped down in December to 30, and then now in January we're seeing him shoot at 36.1% from three. But one thing I like though is we're still seeing some high assist numbers, I would say, for Quick. Him not being the typical floor general out there. You're still seeing him get 3 assists per game in November, and now 4 assists per game in January. So I'm liking the production. I'm liking the playmaking of skills that Quick is showing. He's not perfect. He still has to develop and get better. But I think right now, if you look at this roster, you can't give me another, quote unquote point guard on this team that I would pick over Quick if we're in the clutch and we really either need a point or we need to make a play. So
I'm with you all the way. And again, I think to his defense, between COVID and just Tibbs rotations, it's very hard to get, from it, especially as an assist person, if there's different guys on your squad, it takes continuity for knowing guys' spots and knowing their idiosyncrasies that they're going to do things. So he's producing despite not having the same guys on that floor with him every game.
Yeah, I think that's been a major issue for this team. It's probably an issue for teams all around the league is how do you build
No
any kind
doubt.
of familiarity or any kind of continuity when you're dealing with the wacky things we've had to deal with this season. And, you have to look at the Knicks and say, all right, we have these vets that we brought in, Fournier, Kimber, and this hasn't been the easiest season to really build that type of chemistry with your teammates. So I do, take that into account when I'm analyzing this team. But with the young guys, with the way that they're playing at this point, we got to move on from the vets. And there's one guy we didn't even show on this slide, and that's Cam Reddish. He's another young guy that I think is going to be instrumental in where we go as a team in the future. And you look at the roster right now, we have Evan Fournier, we have Alec Burks. Those two guys have to be shipped out of town if we really want to embrace, playing the kids. And, I'm looking at those two, and if I was able to package one with Julius Randle in order to free up some space, then I would actually try to package up Evan Fournier. If you look at the contract and how many more years we're going to have to pay him. Also, you look at Alec Burks being a better defender. And if we were to move on from, let's say, Fournier and Randle and in this trade that I'm concocting in my head, then at least with Burks, we can keep him with the second unit. He's still a better defender, like I said. And we can actually elevate either Cam if you want, or Grimes to the that 2 or 3 position next to RJ. Because I think if you elevate Grimes, you're probably going to keep RJ at the 3, and if you elevate Cam, then you can move RJ down to the 2. And whoever doesn't get elevated to that starting lineup, then they can fill in next to Quick and Burks in the second unit. How do you think about that, Foxy? If you had to move one of the vets, who would be the one you would decide to move on from in order to free up space for some of these kids?
We're brothers. We're always
We're
tight.
brothers. We're happy and we're singing Nick lovers. Da-da-da-da. I gotta stop singing.
It'd be Fournier. I'm with you all the way, my friend. His defense is, he lights it up, and then he goes a game where he doesn't, and then he lights it up. So, Burks. I would absolutely take Burks. Let's get rid of Fournier and that contract, so it gives us more leverage in the future. And also, you heard me say, hey, I'd love us to run the offense through RJ, but I'd love us to go with a Grimes at the point, RJ at the 2, Cam at the 3, Obi at the 4, and Mitch at the 5. But getting back to Cam for a second, SV Nation, I was so aggravated the last game against Milwaukee, and I shared this with Keith that Cam lit up Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So for a team that had analytics, he shot 64% from 3. He just played lights out against them. So you'd think that he'd say, you know what? He did really well against Milwaukee in the finals last year. Let's give him some burn, especially in, nope, not a chance with Tibbs. So even though they have all these analytics and all those other things, and we'll get into Randall in a little while, but gosh, I don't know how you can't give that kid a chance. You just traded a first round pick for him, plus a former first round pick. Craziness.
So I just put a poll in the chat. I'm asking the chat, SV Nation, who should the Knicks look to move in order to free up minutes for Cam? Should it be Alec Burks, or should it be the Frenchman, Evan Fournier? You already heard our opinions. Let us know your opinions, both in the chat and in the poll. Let's see if we got any other mentions here in the chat. See what everybody's discussing. Brandall says both should be moved. I don't disagree with you. I just think it'll be hard to ship out the both of them in the same trade deadline or same trade season.
Hi, Brandall. Hope all is well with you and the family.
Salute.
Julia Blow, my brother.
Paul Butler says the whole team is inconsistent. I mean, you have to deal with some inconsistent play, especially from role players. It's just when you're seeing the inconsistency from players you're supposed to rely on game in and game out, then that's an issue. We brought in Julius Randle. Not brought in Julius Randle, but we gave Julius Randle that contract and said, hey, you're going to be our leader moving forward. And he's been extremely inconsistent. There's games where he's been non-existent out there on the court, but making no impact. And then you look at Evan Fournier, we gave him a bag and looked at him as a secondary or even a tertiary playmaker out there, and he's extremely inconsistent. So that's why you can understand why the Knicks as a team, you really don't know who's going to be out there on the floor when you cut on your TV. So I know the whole team has been inconsistent, but there's certain players you don't hold it against them. I won't say you don't hold it against them, but you just understand that based on their talent level and based on their role on the team, there's going to be some inconsistency. But one thing this Knicks team has is depth. And for some reason, when certain players aren't playing to their normal abilities, Tibbs refuses to pull them out and put someone else in. So I think that factors in as well when it comes to, the team and their inconsistent play. If somebody's not performing that night, you got to pull them, sit them down, and put somebody else in, because this team is deep.